A class is the blueprint from which individual objects are created. In the code, we declare a class called Square. The word public is an accessor. This class can be accessed by other classes. In the Square class, we declare a public property named side that is an integer. An object is an instance of a class. From the Square class, we instantiate an object called small square. We use the new keyword to instantiate an object. We can set the properties of objects by using the dot operator. Here, we set the side property of the small square to 3. If we want to get the property of an object, we also use the dot operator. Run the application in the console window. We get the side property of the small square object. Constructors set the initial values of properties when a class is instantiated. The constructor has the same name as the class. This constructor takes an integer parameter named side. It sets the side property to the value we provide to the parameter. We instantiate an object named big square and pass an argument of 200 to the constructor. The constructor will then set the side property to 200. Again, we use the dot operator to get the side property. Run the application in the console window. A method carries out a function within a class. In the Square class, we have a method named calculateArea. The method uses the side property to calculate the area of the square and returns an integer. Here, we instantiate an object named mySquare and pass an aside parameter, 4. We then use the method to calculate the area of the square. Finally, we output the area in the console window. Run the application. A class can have 2 or more methods with the same name, but take different number and types of arguments and carry out functions differently. This is called method overloading. In the Shape class, there are 2 methods called calculateArea. One calculates the area of a circle and returns a decimal. The other calculates the area of a rectangle and returns an integer. Here, we instantiate an object called myCircle and set the radius to 2. Then we calculate the area of the circle using the overload. We instantiate another object named myRectangle, set the length and breadth, and use the second overload to calculate the area. Finally, we output the areas of both objects in the console window. Run the application. We get the areas of the circle and the rectangle using the method overloads. Inheritance allows you to extend the functionality of a class by creating a new class that derives from the inherited class. The class CircleBase has a property named radius of type integer. The cylinder class inherits from the CircleBase class. We use the colon to define the inheritance. The cylinder class has a property named height. The cylinder class, because it inherits from the CircleBase class, will also have a property named radius. Let's demonstrate this. We instantiate a myCylinder object. Set the height. We can also set the radius of the cylinder since the radius property is inherited from the CircleBase class. Finally, output the radius of the cylinder in the console window. Run the application. Here, we get the radius of the cylinder. Method overrides extend or modify the virtual implementation of an inherited method. The class CircleBase has a virtual method that calculates the surface area of a circle. The virtual keyword is used to declare that this method can be overridden. The cylinder class inherits from the CircleBase class. We can override the method to provide a function to calculate the surface area of a cylinder. We use the keyword override to override the method in the CircleBase class. We instantiate an object named MyCylinder and set the radius and height. Then, we calculate the surface area of the cylinder using the method override. Finally, we output the surface area of the cylinder in the console window. Run the application. We get the surface area of the cylinder. An interface contains only the signatures of methods. A class that inherits from the interface must implement the members of the interface. iShape is an interface that has a method signature named area that should return an integer. The class rectangle inherits from the iShape interface and therefore must implement a method named area. The rectangle class has length and breadth properties and a constructor to initialize these properties. In addition, it has an implementation for the area method defined by the interface. Let's demonstrate. We instantiate an object called MyShape from the rectangle class, since the rectangle class inherits from the interface. Then, we calculate the area of the shape and output the area in the console window. Run the application. We get the area of the shape. Thank you, and see you in the next video.